Good evening and welcome back, family and friends. This is Talented Tuesdays, airing every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on your Instagram live station. I guess we can call it a station. I say that every time. But as you can see, I'm in here dolo. I'm your host, QuiySpeaks, a.k.a. Mr. 1837, a.k.a. One Chain, a.k.a. OJ the Iceman. I just made all those names up. But without further ado, like I said, I'm in here dolo, but we're not going to worry too much because we're going to use this as an opportunity for story time. That's right. I have a story for y'all, so gather around, plug in your earphones, turn your volume up, and let's get it to it. But before that, we got some housekeeping, just like always. If you haven't already, feel free to visit our website at www.thegoldenkeyfoundation.org and check out and subscribe to our webpage. You can also go to our writing services and where you can register to become a member and earn 15% off for a lifetime on writing services, as well as earn an additional 15% on referrals. So that's a great opportunity for you to earn some extra money. It's like an affiliate program. But other than that, just like last week, that comment section below, let's keep that positive and negative free. We want to keep the positive vibes flowing, positive energy. All the time, we want people to feel comfortable with sharing their opinions and thoughts without ridicule. But that's really all I have for the housekeeping. Without further ado, we're going to get going with that story. I think it's a good one. This is a story that I have for y'all. Like I said, I was gassing it. It's not a crazy story, but it's a story of how we came to where we are right now. And that is the Golden Key Foundation and Talented Tuesdays. So the story of the Golden Key Foundation is, it's interesting, but it's not too wild. A lot of organizations started as ideas just like this, and mine specifically started as my reign as Mr. Cheney. So I'm an alum from Cheney University of Pennsylvania, first HBCU in the country, founded in 1837, and I had the pleasure and honor of reigning as the fourth Mr. Cheney University. And what my platform with that being was, it was not only to encourage the men at Cheney University to dress to impress and to redefine the Cheney man, but another one of my pillars was to increase enrollment at Cheney University, as we were having a major enrollment deficit, and we still are. So my mission was to bring as many high schools in as possible to tour Cheney University so that they can see that we have a lot more to offer than what was being blasted on the news and blasted on on TV and everything like that. So I wanted to actually bring students so they can interact with actual Cheney students and actually see what we have to offer instead of just what they hear and what they're told. So yeah, as Mr. Cheney, I probably was successful in bringing in at least 12 to 15 high schools to tour Cheney University. And during that time, I was interacting with so many students, and they would ask me so many questions, and I was enjoying it so much that I started to think this was something that I was meant to do. I was supposed to actually just interact with the youth and try and tell them and push them to do more for themselves and to get them to see that there's a bigger picture. And I had so much fun with that. And it started out with me just letting my frat brothers know. Shout out to Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Pi chapter, of course, the home team. It started out with just us bringing in, high schools to tour Cheney, and I was the chair of our Go to High School, Go to College initiative, which was pretty much one and the same of what the Golden Key Foundation pretty much handles, which is youth development and everything like that. And with my tenure as Mr. Cheney, they kind of played the same role. So it was my job was to bring students and be an ambassador for Cheney, but I was also playing my part in my role within the fraternity. So, I was just bringing in students. I think the most rewarding part about that was when I actually, the next year after my reign as Mr. Cheney was over, after I seen some of the students that I actually gave tours to at Cheney, and there were seniors in high school, and then the following year I seen them actually attending Cheney, and they remembered me, and they showed me pictures that we taken from tours, and I was just like, wow, like that's probably the most rewarding thing that I got out of that whole experience. And Herson said, what is that? Go to high school, go to college. Break it down for us. I will gladly break it down for y'all. So go to high school, go to college is one of the initiatives of ours. Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity is one of our initiatives to where we either go to high schools and like enlighten the youth and encourage the youth to go to college, or we like bring those high school students to colleges and give them like college tours. You know, we try to bring current college students with us, or you know, we try to set it up to where they can meet and interact with high school college students. So that's pretty much the basis of what go to high school, go to college is exactly what it says. Go to high school, go to college. So we even work with like middle school students to encourage them, you know, to get good grades so you can move on to the next level, which is high school, and then high school to college. So that's pretty much what that is. And I hope you understand that a little bit more, because if you remember that, then you'll also reflect back to when I tell you a little bit more about the purpose of the Golden Key Foundation and our mission. And our mission is actually to develop leaders, turning dreams into goals, into achievements, one step at a time. So with that being our mission, it's really youth development in a nutshell, and it's really just trying to encourage the youth that they have more than what they're told that they have to offer. You know, it's turning what they dream about every day and letting them know that, okay, you dream this every day, let's make it a goal. And then not only now is it a goal, how can we help you achieve that goal? And that's really the whole purpose of the Golden Key Foundation is youth development, leadership development, and, you know, we do Toastmaster programs to try to get students to realize that creative expression and performing arts is also a useful tool to being comfortable with public speaking. That's one of the things that we stress a lot. You know, while I was at Cheney, we tried to do a Toastmasters program with some of our high school mentees, try and get them to just like, you know, write little oratoricals and write poetry so that when they get familiar with it, then they can try and spit it to a audience, usually their peers, so they get comfortable with public speaking. You know, just little things that count. And as I go on, feel free to ask questions and make comments just like Herson did for us, because then I'll get around to answering them as we go on with the show. But next, I mean, there was a process to all this. So like my process from going from just the organization floating around the campus of Cheney University to becoming an actual nonprofit corporation to then becoming a 501c3 corporation, there was a process for that. And that, I would say the process between becoming an organization to a nonprofit corporation, that process might have been like the most tedious and treacherous, as opposed to the process of becoming a nonprofit corporation to a 501c3 corporation. I'm gonna get into the details real quick, but I did see that Herson has a question, and it seems that go to high school, go to college shares many ideas with your nonprofit. Yeah, and like I said before, you know, go to high school, go to college, kinda was like fundamental for me when I first joined the organization in 2015, and then on to becoming Mr. Cheney in 2015, 2016. My platform for what I wanted to accomplish as Mr. Cheney stemmed from the morals and the ideals of what I learned from being a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And then so when I developed the Golden Key Foundation, everything kind of tied into each other that way. So you will see that a lot of the foundation and the ideals of the Golden Key Foundation tie into the principles and the ideals of Alpha Phi Alpha, because, you know, both of them are very near and dear to my heart. Hence the name, the Golden Key Foundation. If you don't know anything about Alpha Phi Alpha, our colors are old black and gold. So, you know, I try to keep the theme in there. But yeah, back to that process that I had to go through, just from becoming a regular organization, a one-man show walking around the campus of Cheney University, to the nonprofit corporation. So as I started to come towards the end of my reign as Mr. Cheney in 2016, we started to I started to do a little bit like a branding. So I was just like rebranding myself on social media, getting the name out there, Golden Key Foundation. And I even started with like ordering polo shirts. So before that, I even got like a following of people, of trustworthy people on campus that I could work with. One of my closest friends, Yuri, was definitely a big help. My friend Isaiah, Dejan. I had a lot of help from my mom, who serves on like several boards of the public school and charter school district in Philadelphia. I had a lot of help from her, and then my sister, who was a scholar, She did what was the program that she was in? Math and Science Upper Bound with Temple University. So we get we have a lot of diversity, but we also have a lot of people that bring in their own experiences. And then of course, my girlfriend was a big help because she being with her, she was like she would handle the things that I couldn't, and I would just let her know like things are like heavy on my plate on this way, and she'll see what she could do to help. But yeah, so you definitely got to find a team of people that can help you move forward in your mission. But that process was just one part of the process. Finding like-minded people, actually, that's more important. Not just finding anybody, but the key is finding like-minded people. That was just one portion of the process. Next, once I knew I wanted to declare as a nonprofit corporation, I had to start drafting like bylaws and constitutions and articles of incorporation, which an article of incorporation is basically the purpose of the organization in which you're starting. And then the bylaws is more so the inner structure of how you are going to conduct business, and like how you're going to do like impeachment proceedings, to how the voting protocol goes, if you're using Robert's Rule of Order and parliamentary procedures and those type of things. So that's what I had to start working on, and it was a big help. And when I filed for nonprofit corporation, that declaration, I filed through LegalZoom, which I would also recommend because they did a lot of the legwork for me in terms of like all they needed was the main information, and they filed it to the IRS for me. And then after that, they sent me like a number of things. Like I'll even actually show you guys. I'm gonna step out the camera real quick and try to show y'all. Where's my textbook? So yeah, all right, so I'm back. So LegalZoom, actually, like when I filed through LegalZoom, they sent me this book, How to Form a Nonprofit Corporation, and inside of it has like literally a layout as to how you can do like your articles of incorporation and your bylaws and constitution, and then how to keep up with taxes and all kinds of stuff like that. They even sent me like the system that they use for the IRS tax filing and everything like that. So they sent me a whole lot of resources to make sure that I was successful in forming my nonprofits. So it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Once I got that textbook, I was like, okay, this is a whole lot more doable than I thought it was going to be, because I had no idea how to draft bylaws in the Constitution or anything like that. I mean, I had some kind of clue because, looking into other organizations, that's what I was doing at first, was just like doing Google searches of organizations and trying to get my hands on their constitution just to like skim through and things like that. But one thing I would not recommend, because they also gave me like the opportunity to open up an American Express credit account, to take out a business loan. Me personally, I would not recommend that especially for like small business owners. Within your first 3 years, I don't recommend that you take out any kind of like loan to operate business. I think that it's better for you to just start off as a small idea like I did, and then kind of like organically do fundraisers and try to raise funds that way if you really need funds to operate your business. I think that might be the best choice, because that's how a lot of business owners go out of business within the first 3 years. If you last after that 3 years, then you're probably going to be around for some time. But most people don't last the 3 years because they take out business loans and their business doesn't do as well as they thought it was going to do. And you got to pay that eventually, but it doesn't work out for everybody. So that was the process from becoming just an idea to a nonprofit corporation. The process between a nonprofit corporation to 501c3 corporation was a lot easier. Really, the organization was blessed through networking. My board members do an incredible job of networking and finding other resources outside of the organization. So we had the opportunity to get an accounting firm that had agreed to do the accounting for us and to file the 501c3 application. And that, when I found that out, I was in shock first, but then I was more so just trying to just receive the blessings, because when I was doing the research to find out like the process to get 501c3 status, everyone was like, the application just to get an accounting firm to turn in the application for you was like $1,400. And I'm thinking like, whoa, it's like we could do all the fundraising in the world. It's going to be a minute until we get $1,400. So, you know, like I said, the networking with our board members in the organization did their part, and we found someone who was willing to help us out with that application and got it filed for us. And, you know, this is new. So for the first time I'm sharing with you guys today, the Golden Key Foundation is actually a 501c3 corporation as of last week. So you know what that means. For those who don't know what that means, 501c3 status just means that your nonprofit is eligible, where the contributors, donors, or sponsors, or whatever, when they contribute and when they send donations, they get a tax write-off. So that makes it a lot easier for people to want to send donations your way, because they're getting tax credit. They're getting credit on it, and they can put it on their tax returns and get some of that money back. So, you know, before then it was a lot harder to get donations and things like that, with the exception of the Cheney University Alumni Association, who I must point out, they gave us a donation when we first started the organization back in May of 2016. They helped us out and gave us a donation to go towards our operating expenses and things like that. So shout out to the Cheney University Alumni Association of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia chapter to be exact. But yeah, so hopefully after that 501c3 status just happened to us last week, it'll be a lot easier for you to get donations and find sponsors and everything like that. So we got another question from Herschel. Do you think the organization would benefit from the Blessing Circle? So what Blessing Circle are you, what do you mean by will we benefit from the Blessing Circle, person? Just elaborate a little bit more. And Miss AKA 85 said Cheney University. I see we got Cheney University alumni in here. Also I see I am Nye Regis joined too. She's also a current Cheney student doing her thing. Shout out to you. Shout out to Cheney University, the first HBCU. And it's so funny because like my board, the board of the Golden Key makes up like all HBCU grads and current students, and like most of us come from Cheney and some of us come from Lincoln. And if you don't know the history between Lincoln and Cheney, they both claim that they're the first HBCU. I'm always gonna say Cheney is the first HBCU because I'm from Cheney. But if you run to a Lincolnite, they're gonna say Lincoln was the first HBCU. The debate comes here. It's 1837, 1854. They say they're first because, you know, they was granting degrees before Cheney University. But any year before 1865, before emancipation, if you were black, brown, if you weren't white and you was getting educated, it was legal. So, you know, all that we was granting degrees first, that hoopla don't matter. You know, Cheney University is the first. But let me get back to that question, Hurst. Do you think the org would do well to participate in the Blessing Circle? I forgot. Oh, so you're referring to some people call it a blessing loom, some people call it cash pools, and you know, for me, that's where I would separate the line from the organization and the individual as a part of the organization, because the organization is its own entity. So I wouldn't actually like put the organization in something like that, because people have such a bad perception and negative connotation about what blessing looms and cash pools are. So I wouldn't put the organization in that type of predicament, even though I know what it really is, and all it is cooperative economics. For those who missed my previous conversations on cash pools and what it is and what it can do for the Black and Afro-Latino communities. It was basically cooperative economics and a way that we can build residual income for the community. You invest in the community is in turn investing in yourself. But I'm not going to go too far into that. I just want to answer Hurston's question is, I do think that the org could benefit from it from the individuals in that perspective, but not with the organization being a part of it as the organization, you know, because the whole concept is still new to so many people and it has a bad perception to so many people because of capitalism, that I wouldn't even put the organization in that type of predicament. But that was a good question, Hurston. I appreciate it. So, you know, back to that process between nonprofit corporation to 501c3. It really wasn't much but then just us doing our part as a nonprofit and showing in like the minutes and keeping proper documentation that we're doing what we're trying to do and we're true to our purpose, that when you file the application, the IRS can see that and then they approve it. So, you know, we were fortunate enough to get approved for that. Miss AKA 85 said, a diverse perception and it might negatively impact potential sponsorship for the organization. Yeah, pretty much just elaborating on what I said. With it having a negative connotation and a negative perception on the cash pools and what it really is, it might hurt the sponsorship of the organization in the long run. So, you know, you try to keep those things separate. Now that we talked about the process of the organization and the steps that we had to take, and if you have any questions about those steps, you know, feel free to comment. I just don't want to hold everyone up and hold up the show. I want to talk about where we are now. So where the golden key is now is we're in a very ideal position for a young organization. We're already in 2 territories. We do business in Philadelphia, PA, and we also do business in Miami, Florida, where our main office is.